Android Studio. Modify the classes in the hierarchy. Calculate the floor area. All dwellings have a floor area, but it is calculated differently depending on the shape of the dwelling. Define floor area in dwelling class. First, add an abstract floor area function to the dwelling class. Return double. Double, like string and int, is a data type. It can be used for floating point numbers. That is, numbers with a decimal point followed by a fractional part, such as 5.6789. Implement floor area for square cabin. 1. In the square cabin class, first enter the keyword override, followed by the actual implementation of the floor area function. Returns the calculated floor area. 2. The area of a rectangle or square is calculated by multiplying the length of one side by the length of the other side. The function body will return length asterisk length. 3. In this class, the length is a variable that varies from instance to instance, so you can add it as a constructor parameter of the square cabin class. Change the class definition of square cabin to add a length parameter of type double. Declare the property as val because the length of the building does not change. 4. In main, update the code that creates the square cabin instance. Pass 50.0 as length into the square cabin constructor. 5. In the with statement of square cabin, add an output statement for floor area. Implement floor area for round hut. The formula for calculating the floor area of a circular housing is pi times quadratic of radius, or pi times radius times radius. 1. A library is a predefined collection of functions and values, defined outside the program, but available to the program. In order to use a library function or value, you need to tell the compiler that you will use the function or value. 2. Implement the floor area function for round hut. 3. Update the round hut constructor to pass in the radius. 4. In main, update the initialization of round hut by passing radius 10.0 to the round hut constructor. Add an output statement to the with statement of round hut. Implement floor area for round tower. 1. Change the round tower constructor to accept radius as well. It is recommended to list variables with default values at the end. Remember to pass the radius to the parent class constructor. 2. Update the code that initializes round tower in main. 3. Add an output statement that calls floor area. 4. In round tower, override floor area to give it an implementation, multiplying the area by the number of floors. This is the best of both worlds. You can inherit the functions you need and replace the functions you don't need. This code works fine, but there is a way to avoid reusing code already in the parent class round hut. 5. In round tower, update floor area to use the floor area implementation in its parent class. Use the super keyword to call a function defined in the parent. 6. Run your code again and round tower will output the correct floor area for the corresponding number of floors. Allow new guests to get a room. New guests can get a room using the getRoom function, which increments the number of guests by 1. Since this logic applies to all dwellings, you can implement the function in dwelling, so that it is available to all subclasses and their children. 1. Implement the getRoom function in the dwelling class. 2. Add some output statements to the with block of round hut to observe changes using both getRoom and hasRoom. The output of these print statements looks like this. Fit a carpet into a round dwelling. Let's say you need to know what size carpet to get for your round hut or round tower. For square cabin, the maximum carpet size is the same as the floor area calculated from the length, so no additional calculations are required. Put the corresponding function in RoundHut to make it available to all round houses. 1. First, import the square foot function from the Kotlin.math library. 2. Implement the calculate max carpet size function in the RoundHut class. 3. The calculate max carpet size method can now be called on RoundHut and RoundTower instances. In the main function, add output statements for RoundHut and RoundTower.